high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Catholic. I'm Jen Morrow, and with me today is Mike Walsh.
I'm sure the listeners are so happy that I have a co-host back, because I actually got one complaint last week that there was no co-host.
No, come on.
Seriously.
From whom?
Carrie Janice.
Oh, no. She complained even though you said on air she was the hardest working.
I did,
You mentioned my name was working. Marianella was working. And then you're like, Carrie Janice, the hardest working. And I was like, wait a minute.
I follow her. I follow everything that she does on social media, both on her personal account and her professional accounts. Yeah, she's the hardest working person. But did you notice I didn't mention Mike Bress at all? It's like he doesn't even exist.
Oh my gosh, I just realized that.
He doesn't even. Yeah, I know.
He exists. But you are correct. Like when I see Carrie Janice's social media posts, etc., I'm like, does she sleep? And she's always like super energetic.
Yeah.
And she has a child.
I know.
I'm just tired thinking about it.
Ditto. I had to drive past Roman Catholic Campus Ministry last night, and there she was. The place was popping. It was incredible. So, I mean, she does a lot of work there. So the fact that we get her on once a month at all is a bit of a shock, to tell you the truth.
Well, I listened to the podcast. I thought you did a nice job with Father Nevitt and Father Adam.
Well, they did all the heavy lifting, and they were actually quite good.
They're both fantastic.
Yeah.
I always like to hear Father Adam speak as well. He's so passionate about vocations. If anybody missed it, both fathers are the head of vocations and the associate head of vocations.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
They were both speaking about National Vocation Awareness Week. And, if you have a calling or know somebody who has a calling, then...
Go to CamdenPriest.org.
Right. It was good. I think you did a very nice job.
Thank you.
I see you did a little banter by yourself. Not really. You just kind of introduced
Not the first time I've talked to myself. I also did a lot of editing to it because I realized without someone here how often I So I had to take out it felt like 90 ums.
No way.
Yeah, it was like I was struggling.
Aww.
I'm also struggling now because we're recording this the day after. We're recording it the day after Election Day, which is my favorite day as a former real journalist. Is my favorite day of the calendar because I just go out and you report on all the stories and it's the best.
As a secular journalist, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
And even as a Catholic journalist, I enjoy it as well. But back in the day. That was my favorite night of the entire year.
Agreed.
But last night, I realized we were going to be recording at 9 a.m. in the morning.
You're welcome.
And the fact that most of the races have been called, I was in bed an hour and a half early.
Oh, wow.
I was in bed by 10:30 p.m. last night, realizing that I needed to be fresh-faced and not my usual miserable self for the podcast this morning. I'm
shocked.
Yeah.
First off, I picked the 9 a.m. time, so thank you very much.
I still can't believe you did that.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
But I also missed the good old voting days. I mean, we'd be in the newsroom till like 12, 1, 2 in the morning.
That was the best.
Yeah. Pizza. Usually a pizza was involved.
And then by the time you were done your reporting, or sometimes in the middle of it, maybe a beer or two.
Oh, definitely.
Depending on where you were and what celebration bar you were in at that time.
Agreed. Wait, what? I was still in the newsroom. Where were you?
I was a reporter. I was out.
I was the editor editing all your stuff. Hold on. The reporters are at the bar reporting this stuff?
Yeah, it's where we got all the good quotes.
Yeah, that actually sounds about right. That's right.
That's
where you got all the good quotes.
That's the best.
I like it.
I love those days. So I do miss those days, but I decided since I couldn't be, I wasn't covering it anyway, I would go to bed early, and CNN and Fox News would not get my time, and I would just have to read about it in the morning, and I did. And the races all went exactly how I expected.
And do you feel bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning?
You know what's weird? I actually did wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
You did?
I really did. I may have to consider going to bed earlier.
Wow.
I feel good today.
Good.
But I'm not myself, so I'm not nearly as grumbly as usual.
Good.
Okay. And it's production day for us, so you are actually taking, we should be working on the Catholic Star Herald right now, putting it out, and you and I are both taking an hour's worth of time away when we could be editing stories or looking at layout, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but we have some really great guests today, so it's worth it.
Actually, we do. We have two people that I am quite fond of. One who is the matriarch of a family of people who work for the Star Herald and Talking Catholic, so we love that. Matter of fact, I was texting with her son earlier this morning. as a matter of fact.
Well, interesting you say that. He has an article in this week's Catholic Star Herald.
Get the heck out of here. Mm-hmm. Well, look at that Keefer family.
Yeah, yes. Well, since we said the name.
Well, let's introduce everybody.
Spoiler alert. Good job, Mike.
No problem.
Everybody, we have Nicole Keefer with us today. She is the Director of Parish Nursing for Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services, Diocese of Camden. And she has a lot of other titles, but I'll let her explain that. Hi, Nicole.
Thank you. Good morning. It is hysterical to watch the two of you banter. So thank you very much. I do oversee parish nursing for Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services in the Diocese of Camden, as well as two of our other ministries, Mercy Teams, and our Cancer Care Ministry. And then I also work in our diocesan housing as a wellness nurse, which is a slightly similar role to parish nursing. The difference is in parish nursing, we look to care for the mind, body, and spirit of all of our parish community, whereas in wellness nursing, we are there as advocates in our diocesan housing. So for those who aren't familiar, we have 7 diocesan housing buildings, and they are all in some way, shape, or form low income or HUD or something. I'll be honest, I don't know the specifics. But we have 4 wellness nurses who go in and we help with advocacy and education and different things like that. And it's a great synergy for me personally between parish nursing and wellness nursing because they complement one another. I learn a lot from each other, and I get to interact with the population that Vitality serves the most, which is the disabled and the older adult population. Mm-hmm. And so, in senior housing, you get to see what the hot topics are, where the issues are, and then I bring it, in kind of full circle moment in parish nursing as well. So
that is a lot.
Nicole is my favorite guest. Because you just have to really ask her one question, and you're good for 15 minutes.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
It's the best part.
I'm sure my children, when they listen to this, will be like, yep, pretty much. Zach is very deliberate in his questions. God love him. He's very good.
Mom, I just need this information. Just give me this information. I hear you.
Yes.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed indeed.
And also with us today, for the first time,
we have Christine Willard, and she is the manager of parish-based senior programs for Vitality. Hi, Christine.
Hello. I'm equally happy to be here and experience the banter as well as the insides of the podcast here. Thank you.
And her first visit to the vault well.
I didn't realize it was a vault.
An actual
vault.
Yes.
Actually, when I set up the calendar invite, I was like, is Christine going to know where the vault is?
I was going to look for some sort of vault.
Yes.
I was assuming there would be something like that.
And you were right. Now, Christine, you're newer to this role, though you're not a stranger to the diocese at all. But
not at all.
Tell us a little bit about how long you've been here and what you do here.
Yeah. So at Vitality or healthcare services or to the diocese?
Right now.
That was a loaded question.
Right now. Well, right now, I serve, as the manager for parish-based senior programs. So I've been here for about 4 months now. And essentially, I'm the liaison to provide with seniors in and outside the parish with news or information and resources for health and well-being. So however we can best support seniors, I serve as that liaison between Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services and seniors.
Now, you just held an event about a week ago that is in this issue of the Catholic Star Herald, November 10th.
And it was so adorable. We were like, we have to get Christine on.
I know, it was great.
It was so wonderful.
Tell us a little bit about
special. Yeah, so that is one of the ways that we connect with seniors and kind of share ways for health and wellness for them. And it was a fantastic way. It was called the Fall Fling, and we collaborated and partnered with the Parish of Incarnation in Mantua and the Prime Timers Senior Social Center in Mantua. And so Flo Curley, the director there, is fantastic. And worked together to provide this afternoon of just fun. We had a Halloween contest. There were contests to guess the candy corn, the pumpkin weight, a DJ. They were line dancing, lots of costumes, great food. They had activities at the table to do. There were raffles. It was just great energy from the time they walked in and until the time they walked out. They were just thrilled, to
I was
be
saying
together.
that our photographer, I mentioned this before the podcast, our photographer, the very cynical John Kalitz, came back just in love. I think he wants to be invited to all future ones just to hang out.
Yes, he captured the day in terms of his photos that are fantastic, them dancing and laughing. And if you ask any senior what they really enjoy most about the social aspect, it is to have fun, to be with friends, to still enjoy life, So it was nice to see that and witness that. Yeah.
The costumes were cute.
They were. And
clever.
Something Christine said, we had one podcast several years ago, which is why we're doing another one as well, about the senior ministry. And it was back when Pete and I were still together as the hosts of this podcast before he went off with his own award-winning Talking Saints podcast with Lori Power. Award-winning, multi-award-winning.
Mm-hmm.
But we actually got to record the podcast in person on site during one of their get-togethers. Oh. And I lost control of that podcast so fast. They were the best.
Really?
Yeah, we just gave them microphones and they were so excited to be together. And it was something, now that I have a lot of older relatives in my family, I've realized, how dangerous it can be to not have that sense of community as you get older. And I mean, to your health, dangerous.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're providing this is outstanding.
Right. And when I'm out at the senior day centers or in parish ministries or with any senior group, because we visit and present to all different groups, I have one-on-one conversations with seniors or even in group and ask them, what do you enjoy most about this? What is it that that keeps you coming back? And no matter what the group, it's always being with people, making friends, laughing, having someone that's just there each week for you, knowing that you have, others in your life. So isolation, loneliness, they're very real issues for many people, but mostly too for our senior.
And, that kind of dovetails nicely into what you do, Nicole, particularly working with parish nursing. I mean, caring for the health of our parishioners, both while they're in church and, while they're at their homes. Right. I mean, it's something that you focus on a lot. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the parish nursing does on a day-to-day perspective? Sure.
So parish nursing is present in 35 of our parishes in the Diocese of Camden. And before I go far into that, to kind of dovetail into your comment. So the isolation is actually now becoming something that CMS, which is Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, is actually looking into. And there's actually creating billing codes, knowing now that the isolation is such a huge component, especially post-pandemic. So I think, I like to hear that people who are not necessarily clinical, quote unquote, are seeing and hearing and think, because truthfully, the more awareness we bring to it, because it's not just the older adult population, but they really have been really siloed into things. And I've seen firsthand, having been working with the older adult population now since about 2015, the personality changes and the way that they now have really trying to go into a shell that they don't come out of. So that kind of brings into parish nursing. So what do we do on a daily basis? So I will say parish nursing is completely voluntary, as is senior ministries at the parish level. It is parish-based. And just like no two parishes in our diocese are the same, no two parish nurse ministries are the same, no two, I'm sure, senior ministries are the same. We have parish nurses that have robust, huge groups of volunteers, and they are able to help with doctor's appointments, give caregivers a break if somebody needs to get out for a little bit. Unfortunately, as parish nurses, our ANA scope of practice limits us, so we are not allowed to do any hands-on care. However, it really is, it gives us the opportunity to care more, because parish nursing is actually looking at the mind, body, and spirit. I actually was on a Zoom call yesterday with Faith Community Nursing out of Westberg Institute, which is where parish nursing actually hails from, because there's a certification course that we actually just finished teaching. We are the only entity in the state of New Jersey that brings Faith Community Nursing Foundations course to our community. So Deacon Jerry Dolbanowski very graciously has agreed, because we've seen the impact it has. And this ANA, it's no longer a certification, it's just a course you can say you took. They've kind of changed that delineation a little bit, which I won't go into, but they have. However, it really it takes your brain as a nurse who is a clinician who goes in and we assess, diagnose, and look at outcomes and goals and things like that and come up with plans of care. And it shifts it from looking at your blood pressure and your coronary artery disease and your diabetes and your obesity and your cholesterol. And it says, that's all great, but how are you really doing? Mm-hmm. How are things going? How difficult is it for you to get to Mass? How difficult is it for you to get your meds? Do you have enough of these other things? And then, we kind of rope the senior ministry in, and we'll try and advocate for them to join different ministries. And then we also will utilize the care coordinators with Vitality if we identify different needs. Parish nurses primarily educate, advocate, and we do health screenings. So quite a few of our parishes just did some flu shot clinics and some health fairs. Mm-hmm. Quite a few have had a little bit more complications post-pandemic, only in that CMS kind of changed the way they do billing a little bit for the flu shot. So it's kind of caused a little bit more, I'll call it prickliness. So there's a lot more hoops and things like that. So unfortunately, some of our parishes that have historically had them have found it more difficult. However, I know some that have jumped through loopholes to just kind of find a way to bring this, knowing that so many of the parish community members wait until the parish nurses have their health fair, their flu shot clinic or whatnot. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's really interesting. I was at one in October hopefully we are allowed to name parishes on this,
yes,
but at St. Damien in Ocean City. And I was amazed at some of the population that showed up, in that there was little kids, there was school teachers, there were like other lay religious and clergy. And I was like, okay, wait, how? And I like to understand things fully. Children, I'm sorry, I know this. I'm like this. And so I actually went over to, so the Cape May County and Cape May County were very blessed that the county will come out whenever we need a health fair or whatever, meaning that they will come out on weekends, they'll come out at night. The person that oversees it really gets very creative, knowing people aren't always working, people are working and people can't get out. And maybe the older adult who wants it can't get to their doctor, but they do go to Mass. So we try and time these things around the Mass, and it's wonderful. But I actually went over to the county and I'm like, all right, how did you market? Because I need to know how you're marketing. And so they sent it to the schools, they sent it to the day centers, they sent it to random offices. They have like an e-blast thing. So, this is what parish nurses do. We try and provide vital health education information. But then also remember, so during this event, and quite a few of our other parishes had it, it's just that this was one that I attended this year, they also had other opportunities for parishioners to learn different things. So Vitality was there. I got to talk to and meet quite a few. I met one of our chaplains who I'd never met before. So it was really a great opportunity. But the parish nurses also brought in some other resources. So they brought in like the local day center that seniors can go to if they want to. They brought in home health aid companies and different things like that. They just, our goal is to just build awareness of who we are. I always say to our newer parish nurse ministries who come in guns blazing, and God love all of them. They really, I am blessed to work with an unbelievably talented group of volunteers, because again, they're all volunteers. And sometimes they come in, and I know I'm a big talker, but I actually do know how to stop talking, Mike. I've learned. And
you haven't shown that ability yet, but I appreciate the fact that everything you've said so far is like awesome. You haven't been redundant in any way, shape, or form.
We have to fill some time here, people.
This is why you're the best guest.
You told me you wanted me to share what I do.
I know.
Anyway, when we're building new ministries, I love the energy of a new volunteer. And so I will sit and listen to everything they want to do. And then at the end, I will say, those are phenomenal, phenomenal aspirations. But we're going to start small, because the first thing that I have found, even if we're not talking about ministries, the first thing you need to do is build a presence. And so I encourage our parish nurses to build their presence. And, even if we have ministries, because we have ministries, I have a ministry that has 1 or 2 parish nurses. When I tell you, and in the whole parish, they get more done than some ministries that have 3 or 4. It's just like, wow, okay, interesting. What do we do? And really, I think it goes back to the spirit of the volunteer and the energy that they bring.
When you were talking about those health fairs, is this something that is once a year, a couple times a year?
Yeah. So health fairs at the parish level.
Yeah.
typically are once a year. So we have some that hold them in the spring and some that hold them in the fall. The spring and the fall are like, as Christine will tell you, they're like, that's when everybody goes out, because in about like 2 weeks, we're going to have Thanksgiving. And from Thanksgiving until about the first week in January, don't try and do anything parish-based. That's just not going to happen. So yeah.
That's true. Okay.
So, sorry, go ahead, Christine.
Yeah, for the senior ministry, we try to be present at any health fair, whether it's in the community, in the parish. I'll be representing Vitality Healthcare Services at the Man Up
that'd be
conferences.
nice. I'll be there.
This weekend. So any opportunity, and as Nicole said, just to be able to get information out to seniors and let them know what we offer and that we can provide that is still an ongoing, important need. So anywhere that we can provide it in any health fair.
So when you were talking a few minutes ago, Nicole, and maybe Christine, you can back this up, are you saying that sometimes people will wait for those health fairs to get some, like a shot or get some information?
I definitely had, when I was at some of our parishes, and I've seen people will say, my parish, unfortunately, we couldn't align it to have the flu shot clinic, and I actually did a few parishioners come up to me and they're like, why are we not having it? And unfortunately, it was multifactorial that we couldn't have it. But yes, some of them do, because it gives them the opportunity to kill two birds with one stone, kind of. I mean, they're going to mass and they're doing things, and frequently parish nurses will try to have events right after, like daily mass or things like that, knowing that people are out anyway. So they're able to get it. But yes, we have had parishioners and different people in the community that they may have missed whenever there's, like, one teacher said to me, I missed the day, I had to go take my kid to blah, 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 so I couldn't go. So I'm glad you guys are having this flu shot clinic.
So my next question is twofold, because we're talking about this.
Is one of them, where can you go to get your flu shot?
No. Do you want to ask that question?
Did you get your flu shot yet?
No.
You should get your flu shot.
Okay.
I got my flu shot and my COVID shot.
Oh, your updated COVID vaccine.
I got my updated COVID
That's
vaccine.
the official term for it.
Thank you.
Do you want a ribbon?
I do. I want a sticker, actually.
Yesterday you had the
I know. I
voted sticker.
Yeah. I think I deserve stickers every time I do something good. I've decided that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the Christmas ideas are just wheeling in there right now. All right. So my two questions, like I said, they're kind of like two questions of the same coin, or whatever, how you say that. We've talked about like a lot about seniors who might be coming out to the health fair, and that it might be the only chance that they're coming out, whether it's morning. I would say more tend to come in the morning because I don't like to drive at night. I also don't like to drive at night, and I am not a senior, though Mike will say I am. And the second thing is, you'd mentioned children, and I've done some work with CYO, and I remember that when the children come out for a health fair at CYO, the parents come, and that sometimes is the only time the parents also might get some health information. Can you both talk to both of those questions or points?
Yeah, I would say that you can speak more to it, but yeah, I think both of those are, yes, you have it during the day, don't have anything after 3 or 4 o'clock. I mean, that's a huge thing, but it creates the opportunity for there to be more community in the parish when you have it. And yes, the parents do come because they have to drive them. So is the truth. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's going with the time that best meets the audience that you want to work with and help. And most of the health fairs I'm at are senior programs within, like Gloucester County Senior Picnic we attended, or Camden County Senior Services. So that's usually it's them. And for our population too, the caregivers are with them, and so that's also an important piece to it. But at the Vitality table at these health fairs, it's an opportunity for them to join the Life to the Fullest membership program, which is part of senior ministry. And that's where, for us, it's giving them an opportunity again to receive information and resources based on their specific need, because that membership program does that, as well as quarterly newsletters and updated information and events that are coming up, or information that's coming up for events that might be of interest to them. And then they also have an opportunity, if there is something that they need specific help for, an opportunity to be referred to care coordination, like Nicole mentioned. That's part of the programs that Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services offers.
Now, as somebody who is completely lost when it comes to Mike's already nodding before I even say the rest of it.
You don't need to finish a sentence. There we go.
There's somebody who's completely lost when it comes to anything with medical, right? Like as soon as medical gets involved, it's like, because I don't understand it. It's like a foreign language. Right. Do you find that as well for the people that you serve? And like, I know that when I first came to the Diocese of Camden and I found out that Vitality was here and they existed. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's been a few times where I've walked up and said, can somebody help me with Medicare or Medicaid for a friend?
Yeah.
And is that something that y'all do as well?
Absolutely. I should have said this earlier. So people don't understand parish nursing. And the reason that I was saying earlier that, ministry start, people come in, they have so much energy. I remember 2 new coordinators came in and they wanted to do all these things and they were phenomenal and they would have been great assets to the community, but they weren't allowed in parish nursing. So here's how I explain wellness nursing and parish nursing, because this is where they're synonymous. I can explain to you why your doctor put you on your medication. You can tell me that you're not feeling well, and I can help you understand possibly if you need to call the doctor and say, you know what, I'm having these side effects and I'm not feeling well. I can go over side effects with you in a sense of like, okay, you're not having this now, but this is what you can anticipate. You can call me and say, Nicole, I went to the doctor and I've been on this medication. It's been working great, but now they added this or they removed this and they did all this. However, I cannot fill a pill box for you. I cannot give you that medication. I don't prescribe because I'm not that level clinician. So really what we do is supplement. I always think of parish nursing as a supplement. And the reason I keep bringing wellness nursing, there really is a lot of comparison in between the two, because in housing, it's the same thing. My older adults come to me. I have one in rehab right now, and she called me because she didn't understand what they told her in the hospital. And the truth is, clinicians are exhausted in our hospitals and our doctors' offices. Unfortunately, even pre-pandemic, there's not enough time to accomplish. So, I would say that parish nurses are great at being able to explain things. We can take time that even other roles of nurses, like community nurses, are phenomenal. I honestly can't think of a nursing profession or a nursing genre or any field of nursing that I haven't met at least one hero or one person. It's a calling. Nursing is a vocation, in my opinion. It really is. It's kind of like the military and the police and the firefighters and teaching, and I could probably go on with that. But yes, we can explain a lot of things, and your comment is literally something that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we may have put the cart before the horse a little bit, in the sense that I don't think we actually explained what Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services is.
Oh. Okay.
Does anyone want to take that question?
Do you want to take it, or do you want me to take it?
You take it.
Okay. I'm more than happy to have you take it.
You can do it.
Okay, so I will do my best elevator pitch. Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services is one of the newer divisions in the Diocese of Camden that was formed back in 2015 after the sale of some nursing homes to try and maintain a health presence in the diocese. None of our ministries are able to do direct hands-on care, but rather we connect people with services, primarily through our care coordination, which I'll be honest, I could go on and on. I could probably do an entire podcast, and I'm not a care coordinator. I was one for a very brief stint, loved it, but it was just not where I found my passion to be. But the care coordinators direct connect people with services. They're nurses and social workers. They're county-based, and they're all great. Mimi does a phenomenal job and a wealth of knowledge. Mimi is, specifically with Medicare and Medicaid and services and different things like that.
That's who I bug all the time.
Yeah, just phenomenal. But the part that I like is that leadership in the diocese saw that this need for healthcare resources and awareness was there. And so parish nursing has actually been in the Diocese of Camden since 2000. We were chartered by a previous bishop. However, when Vitality was formed, there were all these kind of like straggler ministries that weren't necessarily as formalized. So parish nursing, I will say, was. And I only know that because I have all the records to prove it. But they moved so hospital chaplaincy program was moved under Vitality. That has always been here, but it was more formalized. And now we have chaplains in all of our hospitals in South Jersey at all times. And then we moved the ministry for deaf and blind and people with disabilities. And that ministry is phenomenal. Father Hugh Bradley, he is just doing a great job trying to bring awareness to our masses of inclusion. And then I'm trying to think what else was brought underneath there. Care coordination seems to be the biggest one. Mercy teams, the cancer care ministry. Stephen's ministry. Oh, yes. Thank you for remembering that one. Stephen's ministry. Phenomenal. Stephen's ministry. I feel like Stephen's ministry is a ministry that kind of doesn't get as much awareness as well, because people are like, well, what do they do? Well, there are people that can walk with you when you are having any kind of changes. And I think some people, I don't know your experience, Christine, but my experience is some people are like, well, I mean, nobody died. And I'm like, okay, but did your kid go to college and you're really not sure where you are right now? Or, did you lose your job during the pandemic, or did your job shift? Are you just in that transitional period where you could really use someone who is like-minded, also faith-based, to sit and talk with you? They're not therapists. They don't, they don't diagnose, treat, or anything like that. But they're just great companions. And so that is what Vitality is. And
I'd like to add to that I'm sure people are listening to this going, man, I don't know how to get in touch with them. Like, I don't know who the parish nurse, like, I don't understand anything you're talking about. And how do I get to be a part of any of this stuff? Well, I'm happy to say there is actually a resource and referral helpline that is 24 hours a day. You can call it any time. You may not get a response at 2 a.m, but you can call it any time. You'll get a response by the next day. The number is 1-888-268-4825. That's 1-888-268-VITALITY. We just kept a bunch of the letters and numbers off of that. But 1-888-268-4825. And you can call from anywhere. I mean, they've gotten calls from across the state. They've gotten calls from Philadelphia. I mean, they'll help you in any way that they can, no matter what they need. Yeah. But certainly if you're a South Jersey resident, they will definitely be able to put you in touch with a person that you really need to talk to in whatever that service is. Yes, we do a great job at Vitality of making sure we're out in the community as much as possible. Both of these ladies right here and so many of the people on the staff. I mean, we have the benefit of, in this department, at least I do anyway, not Jen. She's on a different floor. We keep her away. But the communications department sits on the same floor as the Vitality Healthcare Services department. And there is always a flurry of activity. Nobody sits in their offices. They're constantly moving around. I've been run over by Mimi Scheibel more than once. She is a powerhouse. They're all the same size. They're all pocket size. Not a single one of them is over 5'5". But that's why I never see them coming, because they're under my radar. But they're incredible. We got to give Gloria, the secretary of the department, wonderful person. Yeah, I agree. Deacon Jerry, since the moment he's been here, has been an incredible advocate for the healthcare services in South Jersey. So all they want to do. Okay. This is an audio podcast, so you've been listening to Nicole talk. That's what Nicole's verbal techniques are, the very essence of Vitality. Ask them a question, they don't stop until you get the answer you need. So thank you for being the perfect representation of Vitality, Nicole.
Thanks. Is that your way of saying maybe I need to be a little bit more limited in my vocabulary?
I don't know. That's for your children to say, not me. I think you do an incredible job, and it's wonderful to see everything that goes on in Vitality. And we really have only scratched the surface so far.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned, that you see them all the time because you're on the third floor. Pete Sanchez and I were just having this conversation, I think Monday or on last week, about how we get some of the story ideas we do by running into Vitality in the elevator. And Mimi especially, because she's always carrying something. Like almost every time I run into her, she's carrying like a stack of adult diapers that are higher than her. Like she's balancing that while carrying her purse and luggage. And but that's exactly what Pete and I were talking about, is that we find stories in the elevator by running into members of Vitality.
And that example you just gave is every single person that works at Vitality. I've never seen a single person coming into the parking lot or leaving the parking lot that isn't carrying 6 bags and a ton of...
That's true. We are a mobile unit. We are.
Their cars are filled with gear and stuff. It's incredible.
Items to take to your ministries, I'm guessing, or the people that you visit.
To the clients.
And every time I have a boo-boo, where do I go to Vitality? And they give me a Band-Aid every single time.
No kidding.
Which reminds me, I need a Band-Aid. I have a boo-boo.
Oh my gosh, we'll just get you a box and put it in your office. I think you can handle a Band-Aid.
They're incredibly wonderful people.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Band-Aids. They're incredibly useful.
Also true.
Also accurate.
Don't deny that.
So I can tell, Nicole, that you get, interact with people a lot in your job. Christine, do you as well?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things Nicole said a while ago was when she asked, "How are you?" Simple question. And I'm also a health and wellness coach. And so one of those things is asking and learning more. And that's why I love this job. And so when I'm out, whether it's a social day center, or I'm at a health fair, or I'm at a parish ministry, or wherever, someone just called. Here's an example. Someone just called yesterday to give me an address. And I'd never met this senior member. And I said, "How are you?" And she was thrilled to tell me about her trip to Florida, her grandkids, the shows that they were in because they were so talented. Her next trip to Florida, because she brought up her challenges with physical. She was an older senior, and that simple question, you can't make light of that. And that is a huge part of what we do, the whole team here at, Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services. And I think that I find that to be the most gratifying part of if I could call it a job, because it really is interacting. They now know we see them, right? And we don't want them to feel like overlooked and that's a big part of why it's the one-on-one conversations, it's the events, it's mailings, it's just letting them know they're a big part of not just the diocese but all of the counties that we have in the diocese. So they really appreciate that, and like we were talking about with the Fall Fling, them being together and knowing that this was held for them and hosted for them, it was just amazing to experience. So yeah.
Have you gotten used to the change in job for yourself? I mean, you worked in our schools for a while as an advancement director.
I did, yeah.
And you and I worked together oftentimes for things like that. Yeah. Was it much of a change to go from schools to healthcare?
It really wasn't in terms of it's still interacting and it's still connecting, needs to resources and in a different way. It's still, what I like is the compassion that both of those, whether it's Catholic education or here at Vitality Healthcare Services, the passion and compassion that people have to just serve others, whether you're looking for the best place for your child to go to school or and to be in a safe environment, or that you're seeking to help on health and wellness with seniors to live long, happy lives. And so either way, I find it that there's so many similarities. In fact, when I'm taking pictures at events of the seniors and I'm asking, hey, smile, I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm back at school because that's what we did a lot of that too. Yeah. And then getting to share that in so many ways, and with the Star Herald and the diocese it was pretty great.
That's nice. I related to your vocation, Christine. So we have a handful of, social or senior ministry day centers throughout the diocese now. If a parish wants to start one from scratch, what do they have to do?
They need to reach out to Deacon Jerry first, and then there is a process for an actual the social day center. So that involves, these are centers that are open and available to seniors 2 to 3 days a week consistently, and it is a full program, with a director and a meal provided as well. And so in some cases, assistant, also paid staff. There are some wonderful senior ministries in the diocese. And so I've been getting in contact, and that's part of my job too, is just reaching out and connecting with them, because we do go to those senior ministries that, as Nicole said, they may not be paid, ministers, ministry leaders, but they are doing phenomenal job, and it's maybe monthly or bi-monthly, and Mimi and I, you go out and I'll coordinate presentations on a variety of topics. So we've been working on that, and hopefully to just keep on all to share information, share resources that are charitable.
I'm sorry. You mentioned earlier that there's an email newsletter, If someone wanted to learn more about, through the newsletter, or how would they contact you? How could they get on the distribution for the newsletter?
Right. The distribution of the newsletter, you can join Life to the Fullest membership program, which is a free program, and they can just email me, Christine.Willard at CamdenDiocese.org, and I can send them that form electronically or by mail. However, we can make it work. And then from that point, you're automatically placed on the email list to receive that.
I have to say that Christine uses our email platform for that, our distribution platform, and her emails are the best. I've decided that she puts out the best information
Thanks,
emails.
Mike.
They are beautiful to look at and easy to read, and it's really nice. I plan on stealing ideas off of her emails.
I think I need to subscribe. I don't think I
know,
got
I'm
that,
not
so
on
I'm
that.
going to give it. And also,
join the group.
Nice job knowing your email. I think I've been here 2 years and I still don't know my email.
I thought I struggled a little bit there, but
I'm almost like
I got the
Diocese
nod
of
that I might have been in the
Camden.
right
And it's
direction.
like, no, it's not as Camden Diocese.
No.
So,
I was thinking, oh my gosh, I hope I don't have to say my phone number because I have no idea what my work phone numbers are. I can give my email like that, but the rest of it, I also just kind of default to go to vitalitycatholiccareservices.com and you'll be able to find a directory of all of our directors available there.
That is true.
there you go.
Not easy.
Yeah.
So do you know how many? Yeah, you've cut me off like 3 times.
I apologize.
But you had good questions.
Thank you.
Do you, off the top of your head, know how many parishes in our diocese have a senior ministry?
Ooh, great question. And in fact, the first newsletter, I wanted to list them all, but then realized it isn't as clear cut. So, I'm calling because sometimes websites can have some information and not have others. Some have, before COVID, were started and then didn't get back in function again, So, wow, but there are, I would be guessing, but I would say at least so far, it's 15, that I'm aware of. So, yeah, if not more. But I'm making contact with, each parish to really, and they're great. They're really fantastic. I find that seniors like to go around during the week. And if you ask a senior, one of the things that keep them, I guess, in a positive mindset, it's being busy, it's being active. So they find, whether it's community or parish programs, then they tell friends, word of mouth. Same with Catholic education, it's word of mouth.
Yeah.
And they tell friends, and then they come together and they do things together all through the week.
You mentioned, Nicole, seeing if you could talk more to it as well, Christine. When a senior might become isolated, personality changes. Is that like a warning sign for family members to look out for?
It is, but I'm going to be honest. As Christine was talking, and Mike had brought up the senior day centers, we have 4 in the diocese. I actually have not a testimonial, but a story that. So my nursing background is really diverse, and I actually love research. I worked as overseeing clinical research for Temple Children's Pediatric Hospital for 2.5 years. I probably would have stayed there forever had there not been administrative and then hospital disintegration. Anyway, so there was a story out of Christ the Redeemer Day Center, Social Day Center. So that actually is run by one of our parish nurses as well. It just so happened she's a parish nurse. It was not intentional or anything, and she oversees the ministry. And just like Christine said, her and Mimi will go out and do health presentations. I go out and do health presentations as well. And so I was there recently, and Kathy is the coordinator there, and she and I have known each other now for 5 years. Phenomenal person, just like most of our parish nurses. I could go on forever about that as well. And so after the presentation, she invited me to have lunch with them, and so I sat for a few minutes. And Kathy is she was a school nurse, she was an educator in other ways, and she just, she's dynamic and she's diverse as well. And so as we're speaking, we actually were talking about isolation, to be completely honest. I was talking about how the crowd had grown. I've spoken there at least, I thought it was my 2nd time, but quite a few of the seniors corrected me that it was my 3rd time. So they have great memories as well. So anyway, I was saying something about I'm so excited to see so many more people here with isolation people are just unfortunately getting lost in the shuffle. And so Kathy pointed out this example of a couple that speaks to your question about do you see it? So this couple started coming to the Social Day Center. First, the wife came, and the husband was diagnosed with early dementia and Alzheimer's. There is a difference, and I apologize in advance to my medical community friends out there. I don't recall which one, because I was more enamored with the fact that A year later, this man who had been coming belligerently, he did not want to come to the day center, went back to his neurologist, and the neurologist looked at the wife and was like, "What did you do?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "He's functioning way better than he was previously." And the only difference, because this is where the clinical research part comes in, because you have to be able to isolate it to what was the change, was the day program. And Kathy was sharing with me that when they first came, he didn't want to interact. He just sat there with his arms crossed and wouldn't do anything. And now, I mean, he still definitely has the disease process, but for the neurologist to notice that there was a change really speaks to it. So my point is that they do get lost, unfortunately, but it's like, it's not to go all faith-based, but like it's kind of like Jesus with the one you go off in the parable about the good, like the shepherd is like you go after the one. Yeah. But you do have to be aware, and I think Christine can speak to that too. Like sometimes they do get lost in the shuffle, but you have to see, like, I know in housing frequently I'll be like, where's so-and-so? They're usually roaming the halls. They're usually at everything. Where are they? And you actually have to go, because sometimes it's just saying, we missed you. Where were you? Yeah. We wanted you there. And just that welcoming invitation, I think that it's, as a population and a culture, we just move so quickly. And I think it's finding that person that you're like, you know what, to your point of isolation, like, how do you know? You look and you do your best. And that's,
Mm-hmm. And by the way, in this podcast, you can always go faith-based.
I was going to say,
no, I know, but I know. I do my best. You have to be mindful, because you can't always do that. So I apologize. You can do it here.
And the truth of the matter is, I think that of everything that's been said so far, which has all been brilliant, I think that may be the thing I take away from this the most, because that's the thing where I show my least amount of Christianity is I don't always remember to go after the one. Sometimes I'm so focused on the 99. I constantly, I don't know if constantly, but I often will forget to go after the one. Yeah. So thanks for the reminder there.
No problem.
I appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
Yeah. I've worked with a lot of underdogs in my life, and I've been in a lot of different situations, and I've realized that sometimes it's that really vulnerable yet strong appearing person that's like, oh, I'm fine, I didn't need it. And you're like, really? I can name you multiple seniors that I now check in on them weekly, or parish nurses that have like identified somebody. I'm sure Christina's like a senior ministry member that you just started saying, what are you doing? Oh, can you give people jobs, give people hope, and people, it's game changer. So and now you can go after the one that you can't find anymore. And
I just realized that maybe I was the one from time to time, because every now and again Nicole asks me how I'm doing, and it's very off-putting. But it's like, but why? What do did something appear wrong? And then I'm like, oh my God, she just cares. That's so weird.
Yeah, I think we're in a place too with, especially with seniors that I see is, there's not a lot of family members around all the time. There's a lot of, people. A lot of us are transient, and then we have to, remote, and everybody is, with our phones and such. And so when you see them out, I had one of the seniors not that long ago at the Senior Day Center. She saw me give a hug to one of them. She says, "I'll take one. I'll take one. I like a hug." And she was just sitting on my way out, and she says, "I don't get them that often, And so we forget human contact. We forget someone looking you in the eye and asking, how you're doing. And we're so busy, and that's like Nicole said, that's just where we are today. So slowing down to give people that time is, that is something special and needed, because it does address a real crisis in today with isolation and loneliness.
Great. Now I want to call my parents.
Do it.
Okay, back off.
Actually, let's call them right now.
Well, I guarantee I will end up calling them on the way home from work.
I know, I'm thinking about my parents too.
To this conversation, but that's a good thing. Actually, I've been saying for a while, because I get to spend so much time with these two and others who work in their field, it is actually a good reminder to have from time to time, to make sure, particularly our senior family members and friends. I know you, Jen, are great with, you have an entire, stable of older people that you associate with on a regular basis, and you seem very caring of them. I don't have that many, but I really do need to start focusing on that a little bit more.
The thing is, so most of my people that I hang out with or tend to be with are older than myself. Mike is right, by 20, 30 years.
Yeah, and if everyone's wondering, she's only in her 40s, but everybody she's friendly with is 76.
It's actually accurate. But sometimes I feel bad when I can't check in with them, or some of them don't text, right? And I hate to say that I'm a texter, but I am, and I'm just like, oh, I should shoot that person a text just to let them know I'm thinking about them, and I'm like, oh wait, I can't text them. Let me give them a call, and then I'm like, oh, how long is that going to take? And I feel bad even saying that out loud, but sometimes that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do enjoy the phone calls.
They do.
Yeah.
They really do. It's right. And right. Our mindset is wait, time, and I have to get these things in. But I have learned from being around them so much, as well as my parents that lived with me before they have passed. But that slowing down is so good for us that are not at that age level yet, and that's where they. Just taking that time with them, they appreciate that, and that's what they need. We had an RSVP for the Centenarian Mass that we had back in October, and they would RSVP to call. So when I would call them back to let them know I got their RSVP, it would be, a 15-minute call to just have a conversation because they wanted to share, because they don't have someone to talk to all the time. So the phone calls, I know for seniors in my life that I try, find that, you have to find that window and you have the time, because ahead of time it's going to take a little while and you want to give them that time.
And it's not that I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
I'm actually just not a phone talker.
Yes.
So it's hard for me to pick up a phone, really, because I'm not a phone talker. But then usually, it goes back to what you were saying, taking time. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, because when I do pick up the phone and call, I feel better too. First off, I want to hear their voice. It's more like a mental block. And I know that I'm going to be that person. Actually, sometimes I already am that person. And sometimes I just want somebody to call me and say, how are you doing? I'm not looking at my grade out. But it's like,
Jen, I'll check on you.
Yeah. Because sometimes, you know what? We don't have to be a senior to have somebody check on us. We all need to be checked on.
Yeah.
No, it's actually, as you guys are speaking, so there are actually organizations that just call people.
Yes.
Alexis speak of people who are in their 20s and have friends who are 50 years older than them. I mean, you guys know Alexis. She has a million friends, and they're primarily all at least 20 years older. She volunteers for an organization that she calls people for like 5 or 6 hours, and it's really just to check in, and that's how dire the need is. And this was pre-pandemic, so it's not even like a post-pandemic, but that need for contact of any kind is there.
Well, speaking about contact, because we're rolling out of time, I'm going to make a public apology to both of you two ladies, because you guys are always on the road. And the only day that I hardly ever see you guys is on Wednesday, which is the worst day of the week for me because it's production day and I'm a lunatic. So for all the times that I've been short on an email with you guys, I'm just like, yes, no, okay. So want you to know I'm a lot nicer in person. And thank you both for being on the podcast.
If it makes you feel any better, that's how she responds to my emails as well.
Jen, I appreciate your apology, but I already figured that out about you. To be honest, I know how you are, and after having Zach work with you, and I just kind of have a little bit of tidbit as seeing Mike, it's like, I can't talk to you right now, which he literally will say to me, which I completely respect and understand, because I will say the same thing. But I'm just grateful you guys reached out. Truthfully, I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, listen, and we want to give you the same opportunity. So if there are any events upcoming that you, like presentations or anything like that, and you'd like us to, number one, cover it, and number two, have Jen be a presenter at it, feel free to invite us at any time, because I think that would really
What do you want to do at our Mass coming up?
Why are you always volunteering me for things?
You're a useful tool. I want to put you out there.
So,
a useful tool.
So Vitality actually has a healing Mass coming up on Wednesday, November 29th at Christ Our Light. It is a Mass of hope, thanksgiving, and healing. So it's for people who are either currently going through the journey of cancer. So it's a healing Mass in that the hope of coming. There is individual anointings that will occur. And then it's Thanksgiving for those who have already journeyed through cancer and are going through remission. And then there's also hope and healing for those who may have lost someone to cancer. So it's a Mass that we historically had annually, and then we had that little blip called COVID, and then we reinstated last year, and we had it also at Christ Our Light. So it's Wednesday, November 29th. I'm very excited. Our Vicar General, Father Hughes, will be our main celebrant. So I am very grateful to anyone, and some of our Vitality staff is helping, and some of the parish nurses are helping, and it's a beautiful Mass. We've actually had quite a few healing Masses in the diocese recently. There's another one coming up this weekend in Summers Point.
I think that's November 11th, right?
Yes,
November
the
12th.
12th.
November 12th.
It's on Sunday.
Yeah.
That healing actually extends beyond just the diagnosis of cancer. That is for basically the parish nurse motto, but what we are is mind, body, and spirit. So there's different ones, but yes.
And the one on November 29th with Father Hughes, that's at 6:30?
Correct.
At
It's
Christ Our
6:30
Light?
at Christ Our Light, yes.
In Cherry Hill.
In Cherry Hill, yes, it is. It is. We just have all of our marketing tools going out, so hopefully the Star Herald will cover us. And I know that
That's how you do it. That is how you do it right there, ladies and
I may
gentlemen.
have had a smidgen of a stint in marketing, so and you guys know I just like to talk. So
And everybody, pick up the November 10th issue of the Catholic Star Herald, where you'll see coverage of the Fall Fling with Christine Willard, and we have tons of photos online already. And actually, I believe the story's online as well, so go ahead and check that out. And tons of photos by Mr. John Kalitz.
Yes, I was also thinking that, oftentimes, depending on what the podcast is like, we'll ask one of our reporters or one of our freelancers to do a story based on the podcast. Could we ask our freelancer, Zach, to listen to this podcast and do a story on it? I think
How do you think Zach would feel about that? As the
Zach, I
mother
had nothing to do with this.
Zach
I just
Keefer.
want to say, I think Zach welcomes the opportunity to cover any story that's going to help him build and learn and grow from.
I just want to see how he reports on his mom. That's what I want to see.
I've actually been trying to avoid that so that he's
I
like,
think-
stop it.
I think we should do that. Matter of fact, I've decided we're going to do it.
Zach, if you're listening, remember it was Mike Walsh.
Yeah, that's right.
Zach,
Not Jen
definitely
Morrow.
not me.
Yeah, Zach, the guy that's giving you money. That's what we're doing. You don't do it for free. You get paid for this.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine. Money's money.
Well, to our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in again, and to you two, thank you for being great guests and for doing the work that you do. We really do appreciate that, and for being a great neighbor to me on this floor. It's been lovely. And Jen, thank you very much for joining me finally after leaving me to my own devices last week. But everybody else, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next time. See ya.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.